Hello, how you guys doing? The day to you was up to you. Well, you probably seen my addition to my pre-studio. I got this is what you see in the background. This is somewhat of a green screen, and I try to put up to block out the light as much as I can. Because I get what when you live in a place like this, you got all white walls and you got the windows. I got blinds on my windows to get that glare, so I'm looking to the camera. But this is what if you ever have that problem, I got this at Walmart, and I just wanted, and it was cheap because you go to a studio to get something just to get the basic like that. It'll cost you some money. I only pay like $9, and or you can go to, if you have a Mike's Craft whatever, and they can cut you out some cloth so you can make a background. And I guess you can do various things. I haven't figured out to do this stuff yet. I guess you have to have a special software to get the background check, but for now that's my generic part of the studio. So bear with me as I trying to get it together and everything. It's slowly but surely we're coming along. Yeah, it's just trying to add the background with the light and block out some scenery. And sometimes I have to kind of maneuver around. But anyway, today I'm going to, in addition to a topic that, and this is geared towards people who are African descent, black people, and there's a couple videos I'm going to show you that I'm going to come back with my commentary about self-hating black people.
They keep taking down this video, so y'all can't pocket this $5,000, but I'm finna put y'all on.
Welcome to yet another video segment. Today, we are taking a look at African countries that racialize the black communities in them. Don't forget to support our efforts by hitting the like button in front of you, share with your families and friends to keep spreading our eye-opening black narrative, and kindly subscribe to help build the rising membership of the channel. Your support means a lot to us. Let's get to it. 12 African countries that hate black people. 1. Libya. Libya is a predominantly Arab country that has traditionally held racist views towards black-skinned, sub-Saharan Africans. Although Libya does have indigenous black populations, including the black Arabs and black Berbers. Although it's not all of them, it's still prevalent among the country. The New York Times argues that Libya has a long history of racist violence. Black Africans were victims of chattel slavery in Libya until the 20th century. In the 21st century, significant numbers of sub-Saharan Africans came to Libya, primarily to work as unskilled labor. In recent years, a number of racist incidents targeting black migrants have been reported. According to Peter Buchert of Human Rights Watch, the incidents targeting migrants and refugees reflect a deep-seated racism and anti-African sentiment in Libyan society. The clashes between Misrata and the black majority town of Tawarja had some racist overtones, present before the start of the Civil War.
Did you know that the buck has the backs of drivers 50 and
As soon as I get started, here comes commercials.
Who says I'm 50?
Town of Tawarja had some racist overtones, present before the start of the Civil War. Rebel slogans like "The Brigade for Purging Slaves, Black Skin" were scrawled on the road between Misrata and Tatarega. 2. Central Africa. Ethnic Pygmy populations in Central Africa suffer from racialized discrimination from Bantu peoples. Pygmies and Bantus differ physically and genetically due to long-lasting evolutionary segregation until the Bantu expansion brought them back into close contact. Pygmies have been targeted for slavery by Bantu populations continuing into the modern age. They are frequently ostracized from participation into the wider society in the various African countries that they live in and are seen as untouchables. Racially motivated attacks occur on pygmies, including rape and cannibalization. 3. Botswana. Since the mid-1990s, the central government of Botswana has been trying to move Bushmen out of the Central Kalahari Game Reserve. Even though the national constitution guarantees the Bushmen the right to live there in perpetuity. As of October 2005, the government has resumed its policy of forcing all Bushmen off their lands in the game reserve using armed police and threats of violence or death. Many of the involuntarily displaced Bushmen live in squalid resettlement camps, and some have resorted to prostitution and alcoholism. About 250 others remain in the game reserve or have surreptitiously returned to the Kalahari to resume their independent lifestyles. How can you have Stone Age creatures continue to exist in the age of computers? Asked Botswana's President Festus Mogai. A report released by the United Nations Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination condemns Botswana's treatment of the Bushmen as racist. 4. Ethiopia. Racism in Ethiopia has traditionally been directed at the country's Nilotic ethnic minorities, as well as other individuals with similarly pronounced Negroid physical features. Collectively, these groups are locally known as Shankela or Barya, derogatory terms originally denoting slave descent, irrespective of the individual's family history. Historically, the Shankela constituted most of the slave labor in the ruling local Afro-Asiatic societies. The Abyssinians, Habesha Highlanders, were also noted as having actively hunted the Shankela during the 19th century. Following the abolition of the slave trade in the 1940s, the freed Shankela and Barya were typically employed as unskilled labor. Racial discrimination against the Barya or Shankela communities in Ethiopia still exists, affecting access to political and social opportunities and resources. Traditionally, racism against perceived Barya transcended class and remained in effect regardless of social position or parentage. As a result, former president of Ethiopia Mengistu Haile Mariam was virtually absent from the country's controlled press in the first few weeks of his seizure of power. He also consciously avoided making public appearances, here too on the belief that his Negroid appearance would not sit well with the country's deposed political elite, particularly the Amhara. By contrast, Mengistu's rise to prominence was hailed by the southern Shankela groups as a personal victory, with one of their own having made good. Although other populations in Ethiopia have faced varying degrees of discrimination, little of that adversity has, by contrast, been on account of racial differences. It is instead more typically rooted in disparities in class and competition for economic status. The often socio-economically disadvantaged Oromo and Gurage are thus not considered by the Highlander groups as being racially Barya, owing to their similar physical features and common Afro-Asiatic ancestry. In terms of traditional perceptions, the Shankela likewise racially contrast themselves from the Afro-Asiatic populations. The Aniwaya, Anuak, Nilotes of southern Ethiopia consequently regard the Amhara, Oromo, Tigray, and other Afro-Asiatic groups collectively as Gaela, in contradistinction to themselves. Ivory Coast. In 2001, Ivory Coast saw a resurgence in ethnic hatred and religious intolerance. In addition to the many victims among the various tribes of the northern and southern regions of the country that have perished in the ongoing conflict, foreigners residing or visiting Ivory Coast have also been subjected to violent attacks. According to a report by Human Rights Watch in 2001, the Ivory Coast government was guilty of fanning ethnic hatred for its own political ends. In 2004, the Young Patriots of Abidjan, a strongly nationalist organization, rallied by the state media, plundered possessions of foreign nationals in Abidjan. Rapes and beatings of persons of European and Lebanese descent followed. No deaths were reported. Thousands of expatriates and white or ethnic Lebanese Ivorians fled the country. The attacks drew international condemnation. 6. Mauritania. Slavery in Mauritania persists despite its abolition in 1980, and mostly affects the descendants of black Africans abducted into slavery who now live in Mauritania as black Moors, or Haratine, and who partially still serve the white Moors, or Bidhan, as slaves. The practice of slavery in Mauritania is most dominant within the traditional upper class of the Moors. For centuries, the Haratine lower class, mostly poor black Africans living in rural areas, have been considered natural slaves by these Moors. Social attitudes have changed among most urban Moors, but in rural areas, the ancient divide remains. The ruling Bidens are descendants of the Sanhaja Berbers and Beni Hassan Arab tribes, who emigrated to northwest Africa and present-day Western Sahara and Mauritania during the Middle Ages. Many descendants of the Beni Hassan tribes today still adhere to the supremacist ideology of their ancestors, which has caused the oppression, discrimination, and even enslavement of other groups in Mauritania. According to some estimates, as many as 600,000 black Mauritanians, or 20% of the population, are still enslaved, many of them used as bonded labor. Slavery in Mauritania was criminalized in August 2007. 7. Republic of the Congo. In the Republic of Congo, where Pygmies make up 2% of the population, many Pygmies live as slaves to Bantu masters. The nation is deeply stratified between these two major ethnic groups. The Pygmy slaves belong from birth to their Bantu masters, in a relationship that the Bantus call a time-honored tradition. Even though the Pygmies are responsible for much of the hunting, fishing, and manual labor in jungle villages, Pygmies and Bantus alike say Pygmies are often paid at the master's whim, in cigarettes, used clothing, or even nothing at all. As a result of pressure from UNICEF and human rights activists, a law that would grant special protections to the Pygmy people is awaiting a vote by the Congo Parliament. 8. Rwanda. Beginning about 1880, Roman Catholic missionaries arrived in the Great Lakes region. Later, when German forces occupied the area during World War I, the conflict and efforts for Catholic conversion became more pronounced. As the Tutsi resisted conversion, the missionaries found success only among the Hutu. In an effort to reward conversion, the colonial government confiscated traditionally Tutsi land and reassigned it to Hutu tribes, igniting a conflict that has lasted into the 21st century. The area was ruled as a colony by Germany before World War I and Belgium, because Tutsis had been the traditional governing elite. Both colonial powers kept this system and allowed only the Tutsi to be educated, and only they could participate in the colonial government. Such discriminatory policies engendered resentment. When the Belgians took over the colony, they believed the colony could be better governed if they continued to identify the different populations. In the 1920s, they required people to identify with a particular ethnic group and classified them in censuses, viewed Africans in general as children who needed to be guided, but noted the Tutsi to be the ruling culture in Rwanda-Burundi. In 1959, Belgium reversed its stance and allowed the majority Hutu to assume control of the government through universal elections after independence. This partly reflected internal Belgian domestic politics, who later saw the discrimination against the Hutu majority as similar to oppression within Belgium suffered from the Flemish Walloon conflict. They saw the democratization and empowerment of the Hutu as a just response to the Tutsi domination. The Belgian policies wavered and flip-flopped considerably during this period, leading up to independence of Burundi and Rwanda. The Hutu majority had revolted against the Tutsi in 1959 and taken power. Tutsis fled and created exile communities outside Rwanda, in Uganda, and Tanzania. After Burundi's independence, more extremist Tutsi came to power and oppressed the Hutus, especially those who were educated. Their actions led to the deaths of up to 200,000 Hutus. Overt discrimination from the colonial period was continued by different Rwandan and Burundian governments, including identity cards that distinguished Tutsi and Hutu. The Belgian-sponsored Tutsi monarchy survived until 1959, when Kigali V was exiled from the colony, then called Rwanda-Urundi. In Rwanda, the political power was transferred from the minority Tutsi to the majority Hutu. In Rwanda, a Tutsi rebel group, the Rwandan Patriotic Front, invaded Rwanda from Uganda, which started a civil war against Rwanda's Hutu government in 1990. A peace agreement was signed, but violence erupted again, culminating in the Rwandan genocide of 1994, when Hutu extremists killed an estimated 800,000 Rwandans, mostly Tutsis. About 30% of the Twain population of Rwanda were also killed. 9. Somalia. The Somali Bantu, ethnic minority, face significant stigmatization in Somali society due to their differing physical appearance and ancestry from the Cushitic origin majority of Somalia. Racialized epithets targeted at the Somali Bantu community exist, such as adun, slave, similar in connotation to the Arabic term abid. The marginalization of the Somali Bantu community is primarily based on ethno-racial factors, unlike the marginalization of the Madiban and other Somali origin minorities, which is primarily based on their status as a socially constructed caste. Ethnic Somalis and populations of Bantu stock are genetically divergent. Racially motivated attacks on Somali Bantus have occurred. Journalists who bring attention to discrimination against Somali Bantus have suffered from death threats, and some have fled the country as a result. The 4.5 parliamentary formula under the transitional federal government has been criticized as a form of legislative apartheid. 10. Tanzania. Black Tanzanians portray Indian Tanzanians as miserly because of their status as a business minority who owns most businesses in Dar es Salaam, whereas black Tanzanians are seen as lazy thieves and profiteers who have no culinary taste. In Indian-owned service businesses, it is said that black Tanzanians are served last after Indians, Arabs, and white people. Black Tanzanians report to be looked down upon by Indians, Tanzanians with the same education level, that Indian Tanzanians do not want to intermingle with black Tanzanians nor learn Kiswahili, which they deem to be an inferior language.
Y'all notice how the news is using the Middle East as a smokescreen? They're keeping this...
Disgusting. Just disgusting.
$16,000 on the down low, so y'all...
11. South Africa. Racism is still prevalent in South Africa. The end of apartheid might have removed the legal framework allowing institutionalized racism. However, racism in South Africa both predates and encompasses more than just the institutionalized racism of apartheid. The region that would become modern-day South Africa was located in a position of advantage for European merchants who were seeking to organize and carry out trade in the East Indies, primarily Portuguese and Dutch colonists. Racism in South Africa can be traced back to the earliest historical accounts of interactions between African, Asian, and European peoples along the coast of southern Africa. It has existed throughout several centuries of the history of South Africa, dating back to the Dutch colonization of southern Africa, which started in 1652. Before universal suffrage was achieved in 1994, white South Africans, especially Afrikaners during the period of apartheid, enjoyed various legally or socially sanctioned privileges and rights that were denied to the indigenous African peoples. Examples of systematic racism over the course of South Africa's history include forced removals, racial inequality and segregation, uneven resource distribution, and disenfranchisement. Racial controversies and politics remain major phenomena in the country. 12. Sudan. In Sudan, black African captives in the Civil War were often enslaved, and female prisoners were often abused sexually, with their Arab captors claiming that Islamic law grants them permission. According to CBS News, slaves have been sold for $50 apiece. In September 2000, the U.S. State Department alleged that the Sudanese government's support of slavery and its continued military action, which has resulted in numerous deaths, are due in part to the victims' religious beliefs. Jacques Madut, professor of history at Loyola Marymount University, states that the abduction of women and children of the South is slavery by any definition. The government of Sudan insists that the whole matter is no more than the traditional tribal feuding over resources. Sudanese Arabs are among the 600 ethnic groups who live there, and there are elements within Sudanese society that view black people and blackness with disfavor. Sudan is dominated by a light-skinned, Arabic-speaking elite, while black Africans often face oppression and marginalization. Sudan has been in the Arab League since 1956. Skin whitening is relatively common among some Sudanese. The preference for light skin in Sudanese society is rooted in the legacies of slavery in Sudan and colonialism. In 2004, it became publicly known that there was an organized campaign by Janjaweed militias, that is, nomadic Arab shepherds with the support of Sudanese government troops, to get rid of 80 black African groups from the Darfur region of western Sudan. Mukesh Kapila, United Nations humanitarian coordinator, is quoted as saying, This is more than just a conflict. It is an organized attempt by Khartoum to do away with a group of people. The only difference between Rwanda in 1994 and Darfur now is the numbers of dead, murdered, tortured, and raped involved. A July 14, 2007 article noted that in the past 2 months, up to 75,000 Arabs from Chad and Niger crossed the border into Darfur. Most have been relocated by the Sudanese government to former villages of displaced non-Arab people. Some 2.5 million have now been forced to flee their homes after attacks by Sudanese troops and Janjaweed militia. The color of our skins has and can never define us as a people. It takes more than the color of one's eyes and skin to know the greatness in people. We look forward to that world where one's eyes cannot recognize the difference between one human and the other. That brings us to the end of this video segment.
And I hope you're having a good day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the
Oh, what in the world? Sorry about that. I don't know what that was about. First time it ever did that before. Damn. Yeah, it's a different outlook on that situation, and you see how self-hatred is, and it started in the continent, but it shifts over to different parts of the world, being black, you know, and how the history of it goes back, and how black people will betray other black people. And really, basically, the evil part of it is that it's under supremacy. Arab supremacy and white supremacy.
Sometimes I can get a little excited when I'm watching something.
Okay.
It needs to have that experience. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. And that goes for this man right here, Tyrese Gibson. I just had to come back and do this video when I saw him saying that he wishes that he was a Latino. Well, I'm saying, baby, they are welcome to you. He went on this anti-intellectual diatribe where he uplifted every group of people. He's been all over the world, and he's seen all of these great things and these other cultures. And he just wishes that he was born a Latino, because they eat dinner on Friday, and they do this and that, and they do all of this other stuff. And probably nobody has told him that they have a color hierarchy in the Latino community. And he would be at the bottom. He would be lower in the Latino community than he is in the black community. But that's fine. He needs to have that experience. And where do people get off? See, I knew this thing was going to go wrong for this guy when black women kept talking about this guy being good looking. and this Negro is ugly as homemade sin, but they pumped him up. And so when black people do that, then Hollywood would say, oh, okay, the black community likes this guy. I think he called himself trying to be a singer. He has a song up right now. My brother-in-law says it's just absolutely irritating, and he cannot stand the song. I don't know what the song is. I don't know how long it's been out. But my brother-in-law says he can't stand it. But black people lifted him up, and he got the big head, and he went chasing after those high yellow exoticals, and he's failed. He has failed with those women because those women are about money. They know these dark-skinned, ugly black men chase them for clout. They impress each other with these white women and these preferences, and then those women get what they want from you, and they move the hell on because you are a broken person yourself. There is nothing wrong with the black community that's not wrong with other communities. You want to be a Latino? Those are the people that are busting up in this country now, like gangbusters, invading this country and going into these cities and committing crimes and telling lies so they can stay here and try to get welfare and food stamps and gangbang and not stay in their countries where they got to really work and build with the people in their communities. I say, buddy, they are welcome to you. The quicker you can get the hell out of the black race, the better. And furthermore, that's why black people make fun of him. He's always crying about these women that he's got to buy to have their attention. He doesn't even have a presence of mind to understand that a man always has to marry a woman that loves him. You cannot chase a woman because of how she looks and think you're going to get a wife out of it. You can chase her for that, but you don't marry a woman for what she looks like. And after all, there are good-looking women who could be a good woman for you, but no, you're chasing something and somebody that doesn't want you, because now apparently the ex-wife is trying to get more money, and I hope she does, because you don't deserve it. This is just insane. And I wish people like this would stop thinking that what they think about the black community is the only black community. Some of us live in families where we eat Sunday dinner together. We eat dinner together. We go to church together. We do things together. There are black families in the United States that are very intact. Just because he didn't come from one and he didn't know how to build one with somebody does not mean that he gets to disparage the entire black American family and community. He is a part of the degeneracy of the black American community. That's how come he doesn't see the better part of it, because he's not a part of it. He's a part of the embarrassment that a certain segment of the black community has become. Because they get a little money, they run off with somebody who looks like they belong to a race different from his, and then they start living a phony life. They start living a life of materialism and excess, and then they find out that that's not the answer. That does not satisfy them. They try to forget that they're black, but what they don't understand is they might forget they're black, but the world doesn't forget they're black. They lose their center, they lose their senses, and they grow into degeneracy, and they think the whole black race is about degeneracy. And he's talking about black people are jealous of each other. Yeah, everybody's jealous of everybody else. Not just black people. And I'm pretty sure there's some people he's jealous of. But he needs to stop crying. Stop crying and stand up and be a man. And pay your child support. And take care of your wife that you had as a trophy. And she probably stood it as long as she could, and then she had to get out of there. But you signed on for that. So you need to have to pay for what you bargained for. And it's not the black community's fault that you didn't have any more sense than you had and than you have. You are the live and in color personification of black self-hatred. He doesn't have any self-respect, and he doesn't respect the support that he has gotten from the black community. Therefore, he doesn't deserve it. And so as far as the Latino community is concerned, they are welcome to you, and as soon as they can come and get you up out of here, the better off we'll all be. Okay, y'all, thank you for listening. Let me know what you think about.
Hold up, I'm finna show y'all how to grab $5,400 right now for free from Uncle Sam, but I'm betting most of y'all won't, because you're just...
I'm glad you made it. Allow me to unfold my knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from a hood brother's point of view to all of you, here, there, and everywhere. Now check me out. Tyree said, sometimes I wish I was born Latino. I mean, the Latin community is grounded in family, loyal entrepreneurs, businessmen, and women literally represent the dream, the grind, the hustle, doing whatever it takes to stick together against all odds. Now, after saying that right there, this is what he said about his own people. I have no idea how we lost our way. We can't get anything done and accomplished as a fragmented culture. Insecure, threatened by each other, competitive towards our own race, killing ourselves every single day frivolously. The majority of us is black men, and the millions are locked up in prison. Then he tried to sweeten it up a little bit. Of course, we are beyond powerful, influential, and successful. But imagine if we all linked up like other communities have linked, poured and built up on each other instead of moving like fragmented and dysfunctional. We have what it takes to take over the world. We are nothing trying to do it alone. Please chime in. Would love to know your thoughts. Hey, listen, that brother said he wish he was born Latino. And I'm talking about, and then said a lot of great things, good things about Latino people. And allow me to say this right here, right? He is correct. The family structure, the sticking by each other, entrepreneur, going against odds and standing tall and stuff like that. Man, we gotta give them that right there, right? But to wish that you were something else than what you truly are? Nah, brother. You done. Come on, somebody need to sit him down and talk to him. Now, and after you do all that and saying that, this other race and I wish I was this race, you put down your race. Fragmented, we threaten each other, we competitive, and we ain't together, and you doing exactly what you complaining about. You doing exactly what you complaining about. You fragmented. Not only that, you talking down to your people. You disrespecting your people. Not only that though, you putting a whole group of other people above your people. And you're telling your people, hey, if you act like these guys, maybe you will be able to take over the world and you will be able to do all these good things and all this old type of stuff. But you gotta act like these people over here. man done lost his mind. But not only that though, y'all. This the other thing, right? He left a video after the post. And I guess this video inspired him to wish that he was Latino. Check it out.
Troca, la compramos. ¿Ah? ¿Quieres tú, mira? With the Hartford, you get great savings and exclusive benefits. Wow, is that for
These commercials, I tell you.
Y'all see the brother, you know what I'm saying? Y'all see the father come out, you know what I'm saying? Got his corona in his hand, you know what I mean? I'm talking about, that's beautiful. Listen, I love that. That's beautiful. I mean, because I'm a father. You know, you work hard for your children, you raise them, you do everything for your children. You know, you give them what they want. You like seeing smiles on your children's face, and then for your children to reciprocate that love to you. Man, y'all seen how that brother started crying, man, when his kids gave him the truck that he always wanted. Y'all seen how he started crying. Now, somehow this video inspired Tyrese Gibson to want to be Latino and wish that he was born Latino. And when I seen the video and I seen the post, I said, damn, brother, this is Black History Month. And not only that, there is hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands of those same videos that he just showed with the Latino brother, of young black men and women doing the same thing for their mothers and fathers.
That's true.
I mean, y'all done seen these videos before. All the NFL players that buy their mothers and fathers homes, vehicles, properties, and businesses.
Yeah.
Nah, that ain't nothing. That ain't. NBA stars, basketball stars. We talking about rap stars, entertainers, actors, actresses, black, that buy their mothers and fathers cars, homes, real estate, businesses. Nah, that's not family structure. Don't put that. No, it's Black History Month. I don't want to talk about that stuff. Get that away from me. I don't understand it, brother. I'm to my like, I really don't understand it. And then I got a question for you, just a quick one, real quick. Because you made a mention about family values and basically implying that we don't have family values. Well, since you value family so much, you got 2 divorces. 2, not 1, 2. You dividing family structure.
Right.
And to put the icing on the cake, you cry online about taking care of your child. You crying about child support. But you talking about family values and things like that and how we supposed to be together and all this old type of stuff. But you don't even want to take care of your child and the woman that had your child. Come on, bruh. You not making no sense whatsoever. Now, to lay up here and say that we don't stick together, you dead wrong. You dead wrong. How you think we got out of slavery if we didn't stick together? Do you understand that we was an enslaved people over here and we got up out of that? In foreign land, everything stripped from us, our own language, our religion, our customs, our culture, and we get up out of that, start a whole new culture. And I'm talking about after the slavery, we got Jim Crow laws, black codes, and all this stuff.
With just the right balance of gas and electric, you now have the confidence to go further.
That Jim Crow laws, black codes, and all this stuff. We overcome that. And we don't stick together? We don't have no unity? Where you been? What history books are you reading? Not only that though, we gotta keep it real, right? We gotta keep it real. The government, the United States government, played a huge role and is still playing a role in keeping us down. Yeah. Look, some of y'all might not understand it, and I don't expect you to understand it because you probably not black. And that's no disrespect to none of y'all. But I just gotta be 100. If you not black, you're not gonna understand the struggles of black people. Yes, it might sound like black people complain too much and all this old type of stuff, but when you complaining, that means something is wrong.
Right. Right.
Something is wrong. Something ain't right.
Right.
I'm talking about year after year, it comes out. White doctors, they don't treat their black patients the way that they treat they white patients. These are facts I'm talking about. No disrespect to my white hood educated residents, but we're talking the truth here. These are body blows, they gonna hurt, but we gotta speak the truth. Banks, black owners, black people are more qualified to get loans and get to get loans for houses and cars and businesses and stuff like that. But banks are not giving these black people the loans. They will give them to a white person that's not even qualified before they give it to a black person.
Right.
These are facts. This is proven.
That's true.
The educational system, same way. Healthcare system, same way.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Redlining and all this. Come on.
Right.
So we go through it, but we always rise.
Mm-hmm.
But that don't mean we ain't gonna complain while we rising.
Right.
Yeah. We gonna talk. We gonna complain, but we gonna keep climbing. We gonna keep climbing. We gonna keep demanding and want our respect because that's just how it's supposed to be. Now, here it is. You got this brother right here saying that that our family structures are not together. We don't sit down and eat together and all this stuff. Listen, every family is not perfect.
Right.
Understand that.
Right.
But the mass majority of the African American family is structured.
Yeah.
You got a small percentage
Right.
that is not structured.
Right.
And that percentage is blasted all over the news.
Exactly. 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 That's true.
I'm in the state of Minnesota. There's probably 300,000 African Americans, if not even more. I haven't did my homework, but there's a lot of us here. How many of us y'all think gang banging and selling dope and all that type of stuff? A small portion in your cities, in the big cities.
Right.
It's a small portion of people doing this madness, but it's blasted all over the news so that you would think that, man, these black people crazy, man. All they do is kill each other. All
Exactly.
they do is rob, steal, and all this old type of stuff.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
not true. The mass majority of African American people citizens.
Exactly.
They ain't gonna talk about that though.
No, they don't.
That's not entertaining. We ain't gonna talk about that.
No, they sure
The
don't.
brother said that we can't get nothing done or accomplished. And I would like to ask you, Tyrese, what are you doing to get anything done or accomplished? From my understanding, you from the projects out there in California. What have you done for those projects and them people over there? You got millions of dollars. You have a large platform. You bumping shoulders with millionaires, probably billionaires. What type of proposals have you brought to those and say, hey, look, I love my people. I'm trying to stop gang prevention in the projects I grew up in. I'm trying to stop these kids from getting hooked on these drugs and stuff like that.
Right.
I'm trying to build something over there. Can y'all help me do it?
Right.
What type of reaching back you doing?
That's what Jim Brown did.
Tell me about your new neighbors. They're black.
That's what Jim Brown did.
Strange about her, you know.
Now it's another interesting video.
Did y'all hear? Umar Johnson called black kids stupid.
They're intellectually disabled. They're emotionally disturbed.
His conversation about charter schools being a way to destroy black community.
Because charter schools were founded by white folks who wanted to separate their kids from black children but couldn't afford the private school.
I only have one question for you. Do they close down the charter schools after they've got rid of black people? Did y'all hear? Umar Johnson called black kids. Oh, you think I'm lying? Okay. Hey, look. You gotta hear it from the horse's mouth. Probably not. You gotta hear it from his mouth yourself, and you can tell me if we heard wrong or if we're just typically too strong stretching. Listen.
Charter schools don't improve grades. They engineer the student population so it appears that the school is doing better when you're only bringing in better students.
All right. Okay. Now we have to have a discussion. We do. Okay. I know for a fact that this man loves to sound ultra intelligent. And let me back up just a tad. Let me back up and then come talk to you again. Listen. What you're going to hear in this next segment is not going to be kind words. I want to be straightforward with you. I'm not going to be here speaking about Umar in a positive light. Why? There's not a whole lot positive to say about Umar Johnson, except for the fact I positively know that he does not like black people. I positively know this. Why? Because he called y'all He called black people. How can anyone say they're for the black experience, for black upliftment, and then in all of your wisdom utter the words, they got better students? So you're not good enough? Huh? And all of it, mind you, is by merit of your skin, not your performance. He's linking everything. I was a total Freudian slip, I'm sorry. What he's doing is he's linking everything to race. Linking everything to race. You don't get this because you're white. You don't get that because you're black. You got this because you're white. You got that because you're black.
And for the past 3 years, not a single black child passed the 8th grade math assessment in that school in the state of Ohio. And for no 8th grader to have passed that math test, what is that telling you? It tells you that it doesn't matter how much money you pay white teachers to educate black boys, they're not going to do it right.
And if you listen to the whole interview, I commend you, first of all, because you've done something that most people cannot suffer through. But if you make it through the whole interview, you will find contradiction after contradiction after contradiction. Why? Because he doesn't believe what he's saying. Umar Johnson does not believe anything he is saying. He knows it'll get him views, though. He knows it'll get him traction, and he knows that he will anger people. He knows how to stir up the pot. If you watch how he speaks, it's intentional. Watch how he speaks. He's like this, all of the time. Why? That's to gain your attention. This distracts you from what's actually coming out of his mouth. But it also makes you think that what he's saying has emphasis and power and strength and rights, and he knows this. I will give him this much credit. He knows how to communicate a lie. I ain't never seen nobody like him. Like I've seen politicians. They don't hold a candle to Umar Johnson. If you listen to him in this, if you go back and listen, I'm not going to play the whole thing for you, but if you go back and watch this interview, and you are in construction, and those in construction, I want you to listen carefully to the whole interview, but mostly I want you to listen to where he talks about what repairs the school needs, and then comment on this video and tell me if it makes any sense, because I was in it, I was in construction, and I was confused. So I want you all to do that. The educators, I want you to listen to this interview. This is why I want you to listen to the interview. I want you to tell me if what he is saying bears out in reality. His conversation about charter schools being a way to destroy black community.
Because charter schools were founded by white folks who wanted to separate their kids from black children but couldn't afford the private school.
I only have one question for you, Umar. Do they close down the charter schools after they've gotten rid of black people? And if you can, please tell me one neighborhood where a charter school was put where there was predominantly black people and all of a sudden, no more black people. I mean, this is, of course, your assessment of a charter school. I have no idea how that works because I've never seen that happen before. I mean, you say it does. But where? Where in anywhere on, in fact, we'd branch out. Go further than America. We'll leave America and go everywhere else. Say we have charter schools all over the world. Name me one time, I just need one. Give me one time where you have seen teachers be in the amount that they can go into a neighborhood and buy up everything. What teacher makes that kind of money? They might as well be in real estate. Why are they teaching? If they're going into a neighborhood to supplant a race and just buying up all this stuff to raise the... Where are they getting that money? It ain't from the government and it's not from charter schools. So your logic is so flawed, but you know how to convey things to piss people off. And I know who you're trying to piss off, and it doesn't take much. They're a powder keg. The volatile portion of black America that's just on the edge all the time, that's the one that you're throwing that lit match at. And you know it's intentional. You are hoping one day to kick off a race war, and you are more than willing to watch black people get slaughtered in the street, because you won't be. You're going to be with your white friends. You like to act like you don't got them, but how else will you get them to work in your school? How did you manage that? No, you got white friends. And you're going to hang out with them when this race war kicks off that you're trying to promote. You're going to be hiding in a corner. You're not going to be in the front lines. You ain't no King Kong. No, you're Mickey Mouse. You are Mickey Mouse. And you run things in the background and you're hoping that if you throw a stone hard enough and you break some glass, that there's going to be some kind of fight that breaks out. And I know you're going to be on TV talking about, yeah, this is what we need to do, when you ain't doing nothing. You ain't going to be on the front lines. You're not going to take a hit for nobody, but you're going to be the loudest mouthpiece. As for the school that you say you're going to try and make.
This is Pluto TV country. Here on this farm, we grow
School that you say you're going to try and make. Bro, look, we know you're delaying. Okay, we can see it. It's as obvious as the nose is on your face. We can see that you're delaying the inevitable, that you're going to end up saying, you know what? We tried and it didn't work. We didn't get enough money. Black people just don't want to see us, get ahead. And you're going to blame the same black people that you were looking for help from. You're not going to blame white people this time. This one you're going to blame what you call them, the coons.
You should be focusing on my message. That's what's wrong with you coons. That is what's wrong with you coons. You love being coons.
If y'all know Umar, and y'all have his ear, tell that human being that he has explaining to do to black people. But of course he won't come on to talk to us. You know why he won't come talk to us? Because we don't pull punches. We know a little bit more than he does. The things he talks about makes no sense, but he can spit numbers. He's like a preacher who likes to take verses and just throw them in rapid succession at you. There's another guy that does that, Geno Jennings. Yeah, he loves to just throw blah, 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 scripture, blah, 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 blah. None of it actually links together, but because he can spew it that quickly, you think, man, what a brilliant mind he is. That's Umar. He'll say 30% here and 80% there and 90% since 1960 and then 1940 and since 18. He'll throw all kinds of dates out that have no bearings to the truth. But because of how he says it, people buy into it. Umar
That's
has
true.
no intentions of opening any school to make
That's
anybody
true.
better.
Fact. That's true.
He doesn't. But he's going to ask you for money, though. He loves that money.
Yeah.
Microphone comes to you and says, I'm going to give you $2 million and I got 500 gay kids in your school, Dr. Umar. What do you do?
You're gonna have to put that check in another name. Give me that $2 million.
He loves that money. You know that crazy cat, ladies? He's a crazy cash guy. He will collect money. He reminds me of Mr. Krabs. You ever seen Mr. Krabs? You know who Mr. Krabs is? Mr. Krabs is on SpongeBob. I used to love me some SpongeBob. I love me some SpongeBob. Now, Mr. Krabs will do anything, even at the expense of his own employees and his own children, to make money. Sounds an awful lot like Umar. He knows exactly what buttons to push, who to talk about, and what to do to get you to open up your wallets. He knows how to touch on your heartstrings and say, I'm trying to do something for the black diaspora. And you should never use white people, but I did. I just don't tell nobody. White people will never help you, but they'll help me.
And contractors were not kind to us, man. They ripped us off, they scammed us, they stole out the building. And I said, you know what? We may have to step outside the African American community and get this done. So I said, let's go with some white folks. And guess what? Here we are, 90 days later, and the white contractors have gotten us to the finish line.
You see the hypocrisy here, right? If you're gonna talk this bad about people, call them devils and the evil one and violent and vicious, have the balls at least to not use them to build a black school, for crying out loud. Come on. I need some intelligent feedback from you, Umar. If you hate them that much, why would you use the devil to build your school?
That's a
Why
good
would
question.
you ask Satan to come help you build a school that you say for God's people? The originals. You would use the devil for that? You want him to bring all his minions and his spirits and just leave them all hanging all over the building, huh? So I get it. So when the school fails, you can say it was because white people helped build it, right? That's gonna be your excuse. I can see it. I can see you doing that. I can see you intentionally breaking the school. Of course, it's not gonna work because you're gonna hire people that don't know nothing. They're gonna be just like you. They're gonna be just as slow as you, trying to teach kids, and they're gonna fail at it. Then you're gonna say, "Oh, you know what? I should have never brought them white people in to fix that school because that's the reason it failed." Oh, it's the government fault that it didn't get going. No. In this case, it's all you. And I understand why you won't come talk to people that are smarter than you. I get why. Because they're going to expose you for the fraud you are. The absolute fraud. Lying all the time. You ain't never done what you said you're going to do. And you live in squalor.
At gmail.com, FDMG resumes. At gmail.com, FDMG resumes. At gmail.com is what we're looking for. My thing is y'all need to.
Our media culture often mocks and demeans.
Well, what have we learned today, ladies and gentlemen? That a lot of people have a self-hate towards one another and don't even really realize what the words that they say. And let me tell you something. I've been around other cultures of people, and really being by myself, you're very isolated. Some people they'll play on you like they want to be your friend, but when they get around their people, some people change, and they don't want you to bring you into the club because they feel that you don't. There's people out there that don't feel like you connected to. So the very people you put down, you're gonna find that it's not always easy. And maybe that one particular friend, and maybe two, might like you, but the rest of the people that they associate ain't going. They don't have no connection, and they don't really like you, or they play a phony face in front of you. And so. And it just like we choose our people, other people do the same thing. And like I said, just because you found one nice, it don't mean that everybody in that particular group gonna love and like you, and that's what any group of people you're gonna come across. They'll act like it. They'll get something out of you, but if they can't get something out of you, like some of your own do, they kick you to the curb. If you're not popping, they can make them. They kick you to the curb. And this is the reality, because everybody sticks to their own nature, and and it's really sad. But that's what started on the continent. But we have people on this continent that carry the same spirit as the ones on the continent, and they just say things on social media, and think intellectually that someone's gonna catch what you're saying and going to show that you're really in what you really is about. And what I want to say is that there's some misgivings in our community, and I even have to probably one day talk with my own friend. But you don't put down your race. You don't do that, because I've been around other races of people, and I'm a kind-hearted guy. I'm not a very negative guy, and I've always tried to, even being kind of introvert, I try to come out of my introvert. But even when I go around other people, you slowly, they kind of close you out. I've seen this among Africans, Latinos, some whites. So, and I learned something, because thinking that you're getting away, thinking that it's better, because you come across a few ignorant individuals in your own community, and there's some ignorant individuals, but you don't count out all the ignorant individuals when you're black, because as the collectively, outside your circle, you're going to find out there's something very different, and for black people who think like that, you're going to find out. People, they're going to show their good face to you. But when the doors is closed, and the reality is, not everybody going to be your friend. The reality of it is, they there. Not everybody's going to love you like the people that came up with you. Going to really love you and have your back. And even though that y'all might have a disagreement, but there's somebody is going to have your back. Maybe not everybody among our people, but someone's going to have your back, because they're going to understand the struggle. And this is what I personally come along the way. And even if you get around to other people, you're going to come across some level of prejudice, bias, and racism. It's going to be really subtle. I know this because I've experienced it. I've seen it with my own eyes. But always acknowledge your people, because in the world, that has stigmatized black people in a negative light, you're invisible till you're visible. As a single individual, you're invisible until you're visible. And they want to select the clues, because it's the mindset that come back from the past and the present. They Negroes, they descendants of slaves, and all the stereotypes that come out of the descendants of slaves, that they're not intelligent, and you hear it come out. It come out in certain people. But just because you're around them other people, don't think they're all going to glory to you, because it's the truth. And black people, some of us are naturally good people. Really, we really are. I've come to understand we are loving people. We love everybody. We will fight for everybody. But sometimes it's good to fight for yourself and love yourself and love the people around you, because you're not a mistake. You're not a curse on the land. And white supremacy was operated up under Satan, that told the other nations to look at you like that. You're not a curse. You're a blessing. That's why the more you struggle, the more you flourish. The more you flourish under the sun. And it took me a while to really see that. But don't cut off your people. Even if you marry with someone of a different race, always stay connected to your people. Even if you have friends of a different race, always stay connected to your people, because you're going to see what I'm talking about. You're going to see what you're going to see it. You're going to be alone out there. And after the show is over, they can feel comfortable saying something. I've been around people that said something out of ignorance by you being the only one. And that's when the true nature gonna come out. And they see something about your culture. And someone don't have respect for your culture, because was put in generations of their ancestors. So love your people. Stop the self-hatred, because the grass ain't greener on the other side. I've seen it. I'm 50, in my 50s. I've seen it all. I've been around it. I ain't just been around just the black community. I've been around those other communities. I saw how the way they interact with me, and I'm a good person. I'm positive, but among those people, they're gonna show you who they really are. The stigma, the stereotypes that come from their culture. You'll see what I'm talking about. So don't hate your people, because everybody have the same problems. Watch, and don't be da. Sometimes you got to stay quiet and let God show you what I'm talking about. You'll see. Every other race ain't perfect like you think they are. They got problems just like you do. They got issues just like you do. But it's a totem pole. At least I ain't like those people, because the news program have us look at a certain way. It's the truth. Some people they don't say it, but they indirectly mention it in your face. So remember that. So for some people who think like that, and some things you're going to experience on your own. You're not going to see it right away, but over time. It took me time to see stuff like this. It's a learning experience. It's a walking experience. And you think what really opened my eyes when I seen it in the Lord's church. Some people that go to church ain't coming there for Jesus. They're coming for click and clout. They're not coming there to worship you, stay in agreement with you, and love you. This is how I come across these other cultures. Out of some people, they had a heart, but most didn't. Trust me. And the secular world ain't no different. You'll see over time that you gotta get to know and love a person, but don't leave your people. Don't disgrace your people. Please, I'm telling you this from what I know, because you will be alone, and your people remember what you've done. Black people have a tendency, and this is what I've learned. I mean, it's just some dysfunction in my extended family, but I can't. My extended family that kind of outcast me, but there's other black people that have done wonderful things for me. So I can't outcast all my people because of what a few ignorant individuals have done. So this is what we can learn from each other. Don't do that. You have to let God help you break that cycle of that inner self-hate, and stop perpetuating on other people by calling each other the N-word. Because you're blessed. Your kings, your queens, your princesses and princes. Your high priest, you don't even know it. You're the people of the book, and you don't even know it. But they made you. But TV controlled the images to make you think that you're less than. But when you look into the book, the one that created you has similar attributes to you. Let the Holy Spirit guide you. That's all I gotta say. So I hope this message will be enlightening for black people. Stop the self-hate. Some of us gotta stop self-hating each other. This is a whole different story when you get around them other people. Trust me. The grass ain't green on the other side. Not that everybody hates you. Not everybody gonna love you. Some people may like you, but not all gonna love you. So go back and help other people. Give back. Take care. Be blessed.